When you first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk, what was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems.
Oh, boy.
It was a breakthrough role that set the stage for one of Hollywood's most indelible careers. For 8 seasons, Rob Reiner was bleeding heart liberal Michael Stivic in the 1970s CBS sitcom All in the Family.
You are a meathead.
After All in the Family wrapped up, he went behind the camera, beginning a decades-long run as a director across multiple genres that remains almost unmatched. This is Spinal Tap was his first feature.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top?
The mockumentary about a heavy metal British band would find its way into the lexicon for generations to come. The Princess Bride became a cult classic.
Inconceivable.
And When Harry Met Sally set the template for just about every romantic comedy that followed. With Reiner's mom delivering a punchline for the ages.
I'll have what she's having.
The military tribunal thriller and drama A Few Good Men earned him his first and only Oscar nomination.
You can't handle the truth.
Off the screen, Reiner was also an activist, championing marriage equality, anti-tobacco efforts, and environmental causes. Reiner's last project was a return to what launched him, with Spinal Tap 2. In October, he told 60 Minutes, despite decades of success, he was still always just trying to get a laugh.
And if I like it, then I say, well, at least I like it. Hopefully somebody else is going to like it.
The original ending of When Harry Met Sally was a cynical one. Harry and Sally did not end up together, but after he met his wife Michelle during the production and fell in love, he rewrote the scene to reflect the change in his life. They were married for over 30 years, and Michelle also produced some of his films, including the final movie, Spinal Tap 2.
What a sweet couple, right?
Unbelievable.
I had no idea that was his mom.
In When Harry Met Sally, the most iconic scene in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
so great.
And you look behind you, all these iconic movies spanning all these genres.
And they're so different. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And all day long, people have been saying different lines from different movies that have affected them across all those different genres.
Incredible range.
We missed.
Great talent. Thanks, Vlad.
You have one candidate, Trump, who actually tells you he's going to govern like an authoritarian. He says it.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. And you've got to make a choice. You have to make a choice. Do we want fascism, or do we want to continue the 248 years of self-rule? I'm Rob Reiner, and America, we've got a problem. We've been attacked by a foreign enemy power, and our president refuses to defend us. This is just the beginning, and people have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us. Make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy and democracy completely leaves us. And we're looking at the election in 2026, and Donald Trump knows. He knows that in a free and fair election, he will lose. He will lose the House. The House will flip and will become into Democratic hands. People care about their pocketbook issues, the price of eggs, they care about their health care, and they should. Those are the things that directly affect them. But if they lose their democracy, all of these rights, the freedom of speech, the freedom to pray the way you want, the freedom to protest and not go to jail, not be sent out of the country with no due process, all these things will be taken away from them.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Donald Trump's post about the deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer, was so disturbing, so disgusting, and deplorable that his own supporters came out immediately demanding that he take the statement down because of how disturbing it truly was. As everybody knows, Rob Reiner and his wife were found murdered in their home. News came out late yesterday evening. More shocking revelations today as their son was taken into custody. It is believed that he is the one who carried out the murders. Information is still developing. The story is still kind of coming out, but it was a big shock. And Trump, Monday morning, got on Truth Social and said this. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump Derangement Syndrome. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. This is coming from the leader of a party that just 3 months ago was wanting people fired and shunned from society, and of course sometimes deported for mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. I mean, Trump's party did that. Trump's government did that. People lost their jobs in Trump's government for not properly mourning the death of Charlie Kirk.
Well, now this is very interesting. The hosts of the Charlie Kirk show are angry with Donald Trump's Truth Social post, what he said about Rob Reiner earlier. The brutal and gruesome murder of Rob Reiner, where he went on a long rant about himself and blamed Rob Reiner's death and his wife's death on his Trump derangement syndrome. And apparently a number of other Republicans feel the same way. They are sickened by Trump's response, as they should be. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie both condemned the post. Massie said, regardless of how you felt about Rob Reiner, this is inappropriate and disrespectful discourse about a man who was just brutally murdered. Yeah. ESPN host Sage Steele and also Jenna Ellis, who was Trump's attorney in his 2020 campaign, both called it disappointing and unnecessary. And they are even calling out the hypocrisy when they were all obviously furious about the way people talked about Charlie Kirk's death. And now Trump is doing worse, actually. And people are also talking about how emotionally exhausting this year has been. And I'm talking about Republicans are saying this. Are you guys ready to accept that this is who Donald Trump is? This is who Donald Trump always will be? He is a creep who has no empathy whatsoever. And I think that Epstein was right when he said, if we knew all the things that Trump had done, he wouldn't be president right now.
Hey, this is Van Silk, another episode of Common Sense with Van Silk. Well, today's been a long day, but as I sit back and observe things that's going on watching TV, it seems that the Grand Dragon continuously to have nothing positive to say about anybody that oppose him. Let's just take Rob Reiner, for instance, which we all know him from Archie Bunker's Meathead. He lost his life. Him and his wife was brutally murdered. And the Grand Dragon didn't have nothing positive to say. I wasn't a fan of his, and, this and that and this and that. And it seems like he's doubling down on what he said. And it's disgusting because Rob Reiner had his own political views. And it's sad that your political views become personal when somebody brutally lost their life. What's so funny is when Charlie Kirk was murdered, from former presidents, Democrat congressmen and senators came out against the murder of Charlie Kirk, that this is not called for. And at the same time, the right was trying to blame the Democrats for Charlie Kirk's death. They have to push the blame on somebody. But let's say a life is a life, no matter what part of the political realm that you put yourself in. It's sad that a man and his wife lost their life. And for the leader of the free world, the Grand Dragon, he's the most negative person standing. Now, you heard what he had to say. I'm going to play it again. And you heard some of the views that Rob Reiner had. But let's listen to some of the people, political analysts from TV, some of the fans, some of the Republicans. Let's hear what they got to say. This is Van Silk, Common Sense with Van Silk. The Grand Dragon has done it again. I'm out.
Brianna, a number of Republican lawmakers have started to criticize President Donald Trump over these posts that he made relating to the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer. Reiner, we have heard from both centrist and conservative lawmakers who have said the president crossed the line with these types of comments, turning to politics instead of focusing on the tragedy at hand. Congressman Mike Lawler, who's from a swing district in New York, posted on social media, quote, "This statement is wrong. Regardless of one's political views, no one should be subjected to violence, let alone at the hands of their own son. It's a horrible tragedy that should engender sympathy and compassion from everyone in our country, period." Lawler is one of the president's closest allies up here on Capitol Hill. We've also heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has recently become more critical of the president, who wrote, "This is a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies." Then you have Congressman Thomas Massie, also someone who is frequently critical of this White House, saying regardless of how you felt about Rob Reiner, this is inappropriate and disrespectful discourse about a man who was just brutally murdered. He challenged some of his Republican colleagues to come up with some explanation to defend the president here, but so far it doesn't seem like that has happened. Now, just a short while ago, House Speaker Mike Johnson did comment on the death of Rob Reiner, expressing sorrow for the incident, but he notably did not answer reporters' questions about President Trump's post relating to Reiner, as he alleged that he had died due to Trump derangement syndrome. Now, Rob Reiner was very active in Democratic politics and was a frequent critic of President Donald Trump, but even some Republicans have said that the president simply went too far with these posts on Truth Social this morning.
In a move that is disgusting even by Trump standards, he took to Truth Social this morning to revel in the tragic death of Rob Reiner and his wife, writing, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as TRUMP derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace." Now, I don't think I have to sit here and explain how suggesting that Rob Reiner and his wife were killed because they weren't sufficiently loyal to Trump is insane, deluded, and depraved. I don't think I have to sit here and explain how making someone else's death about you means you are broken beyond repair. And I don't think I have to sit here and explain how reacting this way in the wake of someone's death is legitimately sick. And don't take it from me. Just look at some of the reactions from his own followers on Truth Social. "Terrible post, and I am a big Trump supporter. Take it down. I respect you so much, but this was heartless and uncalled for. You could have said RIP. Love you, Mr. President, but none of the other stuff was needed. It's very sad we are living the world we're living in now. Come on, Mr. President, not appropriate thing to write. Please take that down. It's beneath you."
One of the most disgusting posts he has ever made after Rob Reiner had his life stolen from him. Donald Trump took to Truth Social and once again showed us all who he is and who he has always been. But this time, Republicans woke up enough that there is now a revolt happening against Donald Trump that we are going to get into. But before we do, I want to start with the last time we saw Republicans lose their mind over the response to someone's death. It was Charlie Kirk. saying that liberals were responsible for all political violence, and anyone who even mentioned his name and pointed out the fact that he was a bigot should lose their job or lose their standing in society. But Rob Reiner did not dance on Charlie Kirk's grave. He did not celebrate political violence. There is no reason, besides the fact that this man has been an activist and spoken out for the protection and sustaining of democracy, for Republicans to be mad. They have no justification. This was not a political act either. No matter what Donald Trump said in his post, this wasn't about Trump derangement syndrome. This wasn't overtly political. He has decided to make it that way. Now, there were plenty of MAGA accounts last night making jokes and having fun. It continued into this morning, but the majority that I saw were expressing the level of heartbrokenness, of despair that should come with the senseless murder of two people. An incredible activist, an incredible artist, director, actor, patriot, citizen, husband, friend. But that's not what we saw from Donald Trump. Of course, it's not what we saw from Donald Trump. We saw a disgusting post from Donald Trump, and it was because Rob Reiner was correct when he said things like this.
I called Donald Trump out for the most inappropriate comments he made about Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle on Truth Social today, politicizing the actor and his wife's unaliving, trying to make it political about Donald Trump, which was just not correct at all. He basically, Donald Trump says in Truth Social, that as you may know, Rob Reiner was tortured and struggling when he passed due to the anger he caused others in politics. Massive, unyielding, incurable with mind-crippling disease, TRUMP derangement syndrome. What? This is what you're saying at the time that he and his wife were unalived in their home? And it's not even remotely correct or true on top of that. Donald Trump, don't you actually have problems with the country to solve? Don't you have real things to do than to try to make this all about you? Is there anything that happens in this country that's not about you and you somehow try to twist it? Because that's what you do. You've not solved any problems as president in the roughly year you've been sworn in this year. You've done nothing to create problems through your doge, through making people's lives in the United States more difficult, tearing their families apart, taking food away from them, taking their health care away. And these are the type comments you make. You try to politicize anything and everything as opposed to solving problems and helping the American people. MAGA, if you can't see this, then you never will see it. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned light bulbs. But I will say this, some of MAGA are calling out Trump on Truth Social and basically saying all of his comments are inappropriate and should be taken down, and they should be. But this shows you the type person Donald Trump truly is, if you don't know it by now.
A bunch of MAGA fans are abandoning Donald Trump and calling him out for his disgusting post on the passing of Rob and Michelle Reiner. I'm sure you've all seen this post by now where Donald Trump tried to say that Rob Reiner's death was because of TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, when he was killed in his home. And some Trump fans are not happy about it. This is the comment section under that post. This person says, "I respect you so much, but this was heartless and uncalled for. You could have just said RIP, love you, Mr. President, but none of the other stuff was needed. It's very sad we are living in the world we are right now. Come on, Mr. President, not appropriate thing to write." The editor-in-chief of Christianity Today magazine said how this vile, disgusting, and immoral behavior has become normalized in the United States is something our descendants will study in school. One of Donald Trump's former lawyers said this is not the appropriate response. A Turning Point USA contributor said Trump really said, quote, "How can I make this horrific murder of a father and mother about me? Shake my head, shameful." And there are many more examples. When even MAGA is calling out Donald Trump, you know he's done something.
Just under 24 hours ago, legendary screenwriter, director, and actor Rob Reiner and his wife were unalived by their son in their home. Rob Reiner did not conceal his political opinions, and he had a pretty strong disdain for Trump. But you know what's really sad about this whole thing is where you see the reactions on Twitter of individuals on the right saying, "Oh, we don't act like this. We condemn violence in any shape and form." Well, that narrative got blown up really quickly by the President of the United States. Post on Truth Social essentially saying that a Trump derangement syndrome essentially caused people around him to want to hurt him. He essentially states within this Truth Social post that like the perpetrator was a supporter of his, which is strange. And he was asked earlier today on his response to other Democrat and Republican lawmakers criticizing him for this type of message. Here's what he had to say.
Denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
Very important at the end of the day that a leader should have leadership qualities, and that is leading with decorum and grace, and also being presidential at the very least, right? So at this point, it makes no sense that all these Democrat content creators, people on Twitter, have to denounce the violence. They have to denounce the violence, but it's not even coming from the top. The leader of the free world is the person who is not bringing down the temperature and who refuses to condemn violence.
When you first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk, what was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems.
Well, I tried, Gloria, but it doesn't look good with an empty neck.
Hey, look, Edith, he wore his Halloween costume. Tie on me. Get rid of this thing here.
Come on over here and meet my parents. Mom, Daddy, this is Michael Stivic. Michael, this is my mother, Mrs. Bunker.
Hi, how are you?
How do you do? And my father, Mr. Bunker. Daddy, this is Michael Stivic. Michael.
All right, Gloria, we done that. I think we all know who everybody is now.
I knew everybody before. Except Mr. Stivic.
So, you're Mr. Bunker.
You figured that out, huh?
Michael, shake his hand hard. Daddy likes that. Shake his hand.
No, I don't want to.
Be nice. Go ahead. Go.
All right, put it there. What kind of an animal she bring him in here?
He has a lot of character. Why don't you two sit down and get better acquainted while Gloria and me finish preparing the dinner?
There's some nice tie your guest is wearing there.
Come on, Gloria.
Hey, how would you like to try this here chair? Because that one's mine.
Sorry.